Hi, I would like to tell you about the sphere of influence. The essence of the sphere of influence is how people influence each other, how they influence results and goals, and how you can do this more consciously. In short, how you can increase your impact. What I want to do now is explain the concept so that the moment you run through a sphere of influence report, you will be able to understand the concept from multiple angles. This way, you will more quickly get a grip on the issue and be able to draw conclusions more swiftly. The concept consists of two intersecting axes. At the top of the vertical axis, we have lead, and at the bottom, we have follow. Leading behavior is any behavior where you take an active role. With following behavior, you are less verbally present. You go along with what someone else puts forward, and at the bottom, you are in fact totally silent and docile. On the second and vertical axis, you find relationship on the right and content on the left. On the relationship side, everything is done in the service of mutual relationships. There is an emphasis on shared interests, on people's experiences, and on atmosphere. On the content or task side, you see behavior that is centered around tasks, results, and knowledge. Now, before I explain the 12 influencing styles that make up the sphere of influence, I would like to tell you about the laws that apply to the two axes, lead and follow, and relationship and content. What happens when someone displays a lot of leading behavior? This leads to a situation where compliant or following behavior is encouraged. The reverse is also true. The moment that you show that you are very docile, you invite others to display leading behavior. Think of a supervisor who gives a presentation to his or her team, and somewhere in the back of their mind they hear a little voice that says, "Gosh, what a lethargic bunch I have in front of me." Well, this means that the supervisor is too active and should back down, ask a question, and let others do the talking. For the other axis, relationship and content, there is also a key applicable law, but that law is different. Here, relationship-oriented behavior encourages relationship-oriented behavior, and content-oriented behavior calls for content-oriented behavior. So, if you focus on common interests, others are also likely to focus on common interests and shared relationships. But if you storm into a room and immediately overload people with what isn't right and what you think must be done, you instantly lure people into the content side of the sphere, and they are likely to debate you or withdraw from the interaction. Now I will discuss all 12 influencing styles. I will start with the top right quadrant, leading in relationships. The first segment we call Inspire. This includes the behavior that it is necessary to adopt in order to propagate your vision and generate support. So, you inspire enthusiasm and clarify your views on a situation. What you do actively promotes your vision, not so much on a rational level, but more on an emotional level. The second segment is called Coach. Here, you take a helping role. You generate food for thought and assist others in finding solutions. In short, your actions are aimed at moving other people forward. The last style of this quadrant is Connect. You identify the wishes, needs, and interests of the people involved, and you actively seek win-win situations. Emphasizing similarities and checking if everyone is on the same page are at the top of your to-do list. On the opposite side of the spectrum is the influence style Convince. People who apply this style often are clear in their opinion. They are outspoken, and they make use of arguments to reinforce their position. They do their utmost to convince others of their perspective. Then we come to Instruct. The focus here is on what others should do to complete a task. You give detailed instructions to, for example, a new colleague who has little knowledge, instructing them in a meaningful way. The last style of the 6 leading styles is called Direct. Here, the emphasis is on discussing desired results and defining a clear framework. So you make sure that people have a clear sense of direction and that they are familiar with boundaries. Over to the bottom of the model, let's start with Oppose. Imagine that someone tells you that this and this are going to happen, and your first reaction is, "Yes, but have we thought about?" In short, you put the brakes on. In this case, you oppose. Although this influencing style has a somewhat negative connotation, it is important that someone occasionally does put on the brakes, because that prevents people from getting ahead of themselves. The next style is Clarify. Clarifying is about making things as clear as possible and answering the question, What are we talking about? You actively look for details and you ensure that you have fully understood what is said by others. We continue with the segment Follow Up. Here you make it known you will carry out tasks. This behavior is necessary for progress. If no one follows up, well, then there is a lot of discussion and exchange of information, but nothing actually lifts off. Okay, the last quadrant focuses on following and relationships. The style at the bottom is called Listen. While listening, you use few words. You nod. You keep to the background and you let other people do the talking. The middle style we call Adapt. This is a step more active than the previous style. You show that you are willing to meet other people halfway by agreeing to what has been suggested, by adjusting your own plans, and by going along with your conversation partner. We end with the last style on the relationship side, Empathize. When adopting this style, you are able to take into account the feelings of others and are committed to influencing their mood in a positive way. You show an understanding of and interest in others, and you show your appreciation for the positive qualities and capabilities of those around you. To sum up, the Sphere of Influence model consists of 12 influencing styles that are determined by two axes: lead and follow, and content and relationship. Now you have the most important information you need to get started with your Sphere of Influence profile. Good luck with increasing your impact.